Good day, beautiful friends. I hope you're hanging in there and having a good day. I'm spiritual medium Joseph Tittel. This is a dire warning and message for the energies and the events that we're about to step into. Friends, the time's arrived that Spirit warned us was coming. Not just here to the United States of America, but globally. And one of the dates that Spirit told us to watch very closely was the date June 14th. Well, today is June 12th. We're just days away from the 14th, and these energies kicking in. This window of time for coming events. We just had the full moon just a few days ago, and, well, yesterday, actually, to be exact. And Spirit also told us about the date June 6th, and told us it would be a significant time. This was a day the craziness kicked off in Los Angeles, really kicked off. That was the date. And the next date on the list is the 14th. And we know what's coming and what's at least planned for the 14th with major protests, the parade in D.C., and other things that are happening around the globe, not just here. There was just similar riots that just happened and took place in France, which the media over here told us was due to football fans, which we found out later was similar to what's happening in Los Angeles, California. And now our friends in Ireland, they're dealing with the same exact craziness, friends. And this is only just going to spread as Spirit told us it would in the 2025 World Predictions and Forecast. Remember my visions of seeing cities packed with people in protest? This is not just United States cities that I saw. I've had visions of people in the streets, including angry people in the streets across the globe. And this is just the kickoff of, literally, friends, the summer craziness of energies that are flowing in. But this is also partially, as many will assume or allege, a very well orchestrated and, of course, very well funded agenda. So, some believe that is so. There's likely a lot of evidence to hold that up too, but we're not going to go into that today. We just had both Mercury and Jupiter enter into the signs of Cancer. This is certainly going to bring out the emotions of folks, and it's going to make folks more sensitive to the events and to what other people are saying or other people's words. You truly, friends, need to watch what you say in these coming weeks because folks are going to totally twist things based on their own angers that they hold within their hearts and within their energies. So again, watch that wording. Words have even more power in the coming month than the previous month. And this is all truly a part of this new level of awakening that's happening. That's why people are taking to the streets. It's an energetic, emotional thing that's happening. And of course, the globalists feed in on those emotions. They know how to feed into them very well, and we got to be aware of that. And if you think the 2020 BLM peaceful rioting was bad, hold on tight, friends, because this time it's going to spread from country to country. Except here in the United States, it's about to get beyond Sirius, unfortunately. Spirit showed me visions of people orchestrating and exchanging, and this was disturbing, cash, of course, and other things like drugs for their agendas and for their crazy plans. Who's they? Well, again, we're not going to go into that today. I'll go into that on Tuesday's show, so be sure to catch me on Tea Time Tuesday. But I tell you all, friends, to please be very mindful and vigilant when you are out and about. And if you're in the big city, or any big city, not the big city, that would be New York here in the United States, but any big city, anywhere in the world. But especially here in the United States, this coming weekend, stock up and bunker down for the coming weekend. When Monday rolls around, you'll be likely glad that you did. Really glad that you did. Now, I have friends that are attending peaceful protests over this weekend, and I urge them to be extremely mindful and perhaps consider staying home instead. Of course, they won't listen to the psychic. Why would they listen to me? Now, I see fires being set around cities, as I saw in past visions and as Spirit showed us in channeled predictions. But this time I saw fires that are meant to turn into wildfires. So, fires that are meant to turn into wildfires. So, the first thing that pops in my mind is beware of anywhere where it's windy, of course. That would be target. And I wouldn't be surprised if all of a sudden these winds start showing up in different places. Now, this goes back to some of my channeled predictions again months ago. We must keep a close eye on wooded areas and forest areas. So it's always to have an extra mindful eye, keeping an eye out, not in paranoia, but just being mindful of your surroundings. And it's not just a target of the cities, says the spirits. It's a target of properties, land, target of land. And it's a target that soon is going to end up being a target of people. And we don't want that. We want people to come together. Right now, it doesn't seem like they're doing that very well. I see people going against people. The division that the globalists want, friends. That's what they wish for. That's what they thrive on. So therefore, we must not give that to them. We must not give that to them. Instead, we should all hold a light in the vision, hold in the light a vision of seeing protesters suddenly coming together. And everybody, even the law enforcement, all of them coming together. We can manifest this. Of course, again, these energies are going to be crazy, so it's fighting a lot of energies. And this is literally a spiritual war between the dark and the light that's happening behind the scenes that we're seeing play out on the world stage. Because it is a stage that's quite entertaining at times, but also quite dangerous. That's why I say bunker down. And yes, of course, there's good protesters. Of course there are. Like I said, I have people I know that are going out protesting for whatever reasons. I just also saw that there were big protests down the street from me here in Sedona, Arizona. I'm surprised by that. Except here in Arizona, Sedona, it won't go crazy like they did in LA. That won't happen here. I'm glad for that. But it will happen in Phoenix, and it will happen in other cities. And that's not the point. The point of the thing, peaceful protesters, that's not the point at all. It's the violent ones, the violent people that are destroying property, throwing rocks and burning things to the ground and harming others, even beating people up. I saw some stories of people going there to chat, and they got beat up or attacked in some way or another. And it won't be long, when it comes down to that they'll end up seeing bullets fly around like, tennis balls. And that wouldn't be good, but we can see it heading that way. You don't even need to be psychic to figure that one out. And that's when the military is going to get very, very serious on the streets throughout the country, United States again, and other countries as well. Remember my visions and seeing martial law. I'm not saying that's coming in the very near future, but the way things are going, it could very much look that way. Now, the president here in the United States can't call martial law. It has to be a congressional thing. Could things get that bad? I don't think this year. In the future, yeah. And what I see more than anything is more of martial law in cities. And I guess they could do that. I guess a governor or mayor could do that. Newsom definitely would never do that. But maybe it's something like that. And I see groups, large groups that are going to form, or that are actually probably forming right now. These groups consist of former military that plan on going into these areas and fighting against these looters or property destroyers if it gets out of hand. That's something that we should not advise anyone to do. Let law enforcement handle it. Let them do their job. Steer clear of any craziness. Just don't plug into it. It's a vortex of energy, friends. Don't plug into that vortex of energy. All over the world, protests will end up going sour in some places. Between June 14th and July 5th. July 4th, July 5th, depending on where you are in the world. That was the window that Spirit gave us at least a month or so ago. Watch that window. I believe that's also in my June forecast. Watch that window, June 14th to July 4th. And throughout, of course, the entire summer. Now remember, the globalists, whatever you want to call them, the elite families, the illuminated ones, they like chaos. They like confusion, violence, and all those things, and civil unrest. So they can, in turn, of course, institute, emergency services, or emergency powers is more like it, like Palantir, the digital ID. These events are also slightly, or maybe largely, a great diversion. A diversion from what exactly? Look over here so that you don't look over here, right? We know how that works. Reverse psychology kind of method there. What do they not want us to look at? The fact that we may be on the edge of WW3? It's what it's kind of starting to look like, and I'll tell you about that in a moment. But right now in Florida, if you want to attend a FIFA game, that's coming up this weekend. You have to provide the proper real ID, or I guess passport. The real ID is going to lead to digital IDs. You watch, friends. It'll lead to digital IDs. They'll make it look convenient. Oh, look, now you can put it on your phone, and you don't have to carry your passport, but definitely keep it just in case. And then that'll slowly disappear. That's what they do to initiate a global surveillance system. And if you don't know about the real ID and the truth behind that, you might want to look into that yourself. So is this a way for them to initiate that? Well, we need to track everybody. We need to know who's here that should be and who's here that shouldn't be. Make it look good for, say, America, but or your country. It's good for your country. Because if we have a real ID, I guarantee if you don't, it's coming to your country real soon. And I feel, unfortunately, going back to the chaos and the potential for WW3 in this coming weekend, breakout of violence when it comes to the Middle East. United States just warned all the embassies in Iraq and Kuwait to evacuate, and I think a few other Middle Eastern countries. To me, when they tell you to start evacuating U.S. embassies in different countries, there's something going on there, friends. It's something going on, something they know that's about to happen. A sure sign that something's brewing on their plan of agendas. So I see escalation, not just there, but also in Europe. And I see a huge hit coming to Russia. And I also feel big hits in the coming weeks when it comes to, and this isn't my past predictions, but I feel a need to mention it again, big hits on oil or gas infrastructure. Could this possibly be Kuwait, being as it was, the embassies are being cleared out, likely causing some kind of senseless disaster? Potentially. And I don't know how this is related at all. Likely back to the United States and the evil agendas. And regardless, I saw a vision today of this large fire that had black smoke just billowing up for miles, almost like huge. And it didn't look like the fire was huge. It was the smoke that was the most. So it was like, I got the sense it had an awful odor of some sort that felt to me kind of like a huge tire fire. And it might actually be a huge tire fire. It may actually be either a large tire fire or some kind of large lot full of vehicles, maybe. That would send it off. Maybe EV vehicles. So beware of that. And I'm not saying this is all happening this weekend, but definitely in coming weeks. And I'll tell you, to also expect a wide range of power outages. Likely to be caused by cyber attacks, but more so physical attacks coming on the grids, including one crazed individual that I saw a vision of driving a van, looked like a van or a truck, right through the fence of a power station. I don't think it did very much other than hurt him more than anything by my vision. But I don't know, I just saw that. And I believe this might be outside of either Los Angeles or even Chicago. Because Chicago also, I get this feeling, is going to have a wide spread destruction in the near future. And to those destructive individuals out there, a message to you. The damage that you're causing, that's now going to cost taxpayers. That's who's going to pay for it. The hardworking Americans that come from all races and creeds, those folks, yeah, they're the ones that are going to be forced to pay to clean up and replace that in which you destroy. So please, be peaceful. Don't destroy other people's property or even government property because, again, the taxpayers, the hardworking Americans are the ones that got to pay for it. Violence never solves anything, friends. Either does conflict. Really, nobody really wins ever in conflict. It just creates vortexes of very negative energies. Energies, when these vortexes are created, that affect all of us. This is what the illuminated globalists know. They know this. This is why they create it. This is why they create the chaos in the cities, because it's like a vortex, a tornado of energy that's created that sucks everything into it. That's exactly what it is. And when you look at it in another dimensional field, it's kind of crazy. This is why I say avoid it. There's also going to be a lot of jammed highways, of course, blocked by both good protesters that don't realize that they're blocking highways. That happens. But also the not so good ones. So again, please, to the peaceful protesters out there, do not block the roads. People need to get through. They need to get to work. I had a client yesterday, couldn't get in LA, couldn't go to work. Why I can't get there. So whether it be work or even more so an emergency, like a woman in labor that needs to get to the hospital, she don't want to have a baby in the middle of a riot. The possibilities are endless. So just be mindful to your fellow citizens. That's all we ask. Another important note. Those burning electrical vehicles in the streets, you saw the visions and not the visions. I didn't see visions actually of that either, but you saw the, footage of it, videos of it. That is unleashing toxic fumes that are going to catch up to anyone breathing that crap in, including the animals, the birds, and everybody else. And, they wear their cloth masks. That is not going to prevent you from the exposure of the toxins that are coming off those burning vehicles. Just a thought, friends. So steer clear. If you see anything like that burning, steer clear. If you see that big cloud of black smoke in my vision come into fruition, stay clear of that too. Spirit did also tell us to be aware soon that flags would fly, ever so falsely, if you know what I mean. So be aware of the globalist agenda once again. Come together in peace and watch for these coming flags, the ones that are meant to push us deeper into conflicts, deeper into those surveillance states. We have to be aware of what's really happening around us, not what they're showing us that's happening. They show you what they want to show you that happens, whether it be the media or what have you. So be sure that you have enough food and whatever you may need to get through at least a week, no matter where you live, and a sense to cook that food, a way to cook that food. A way to keep all your stuff charged when you're home. So if the lights go out, your stuff is fully charged. Don't wait for it to go dead if you don't have something to charge it, like a generator. And in many cities, food delivery trucks, they're not going to be able to get through, especially in the big cities. Even, UPS or other deliveries are going to be unable to get through. So many truck drivers also, on top of that, are going to refuse to deliver. And therefore, shelves are going to go very empty, especially in areas where the looters, once again, took over and took everything they could. So this is why you just got to remember to prepare, friends. Be prepared, not scared. And it would be truly easy with the current astrological transits that are happening, and June being the 6th vibration of overanalyzing all the details and saying I'm not doing this anymore, which can easily turn peaceful people over like turning over a dime. So it's very easy basically to plug into other people's emotions in this energy we're in this month especially. So in their actions, just you might be standing there fine and plug into that energy and somebody's doing something destructive. Before you know it, you're doing something destructive, not even realizing that you just took on that energy. See what I'm saying? This is what's going to be really easy for people to turn on the dime. That's why even law enforcement and all need to be extra cautious on that fact. Turn on the dime. So when one person flies off the handle, others start to join in and fly off the handle with them. This is why I advise just stay home and bunker down, friends. Stay away from that so you don't end up sucking yourself into something and then looking back with regret. I had another vision of robots. This one was a little disturbing, more like doggy robots. Walking, and you've seen them doggy-looking robots, walking the streets and sidewalks. I don't know where I was. I'm guessing I was here in the United States. And I don't know what they were walking or what they were looking for or doing, but I just had this vision of them walking on the streets. I also saw the use of drones by large amounts, and I felt at one point that drones were also being used to locate a certain group of bandits. Bandits maybe that could possess some type of weapon, I don't know. Whatever bandit may mean, that was my feeling. And I kept getting split between United States and parts of Europe, such as France, Germany, and the UK. So I took this as a sign that these things will be happening on both sides of the sea. Both sides of the sea. And that makes me remember past channel prediction where Spirit said, United States and allied countries, attacks on United States and allied countries simultaneously. That memory just came back to me. Simultaneous attacks. Interesting. Let's hope not. And again, don't be scared. Be prepared. I also see something going on in the subway system, somehow connected to either the protest or more so the rioters. And I'm not sure if I was in New York, LA, or what, but it felt like chaos in the tunnel. Whatever that may mean, take it for what it's worth. And I'm not sure how it's going to play out. So if you're riding the subways, just be alert and avoid angry crowds. Avoid angry people always. It's easier that way. Now, another thought that has been presented to me is this big diversion. I say, isn't everything when it comes to the government's a big diversion? Right? Isn't it? I mean, it kind of seems like it is. And no one's talking about what's actually happening in Iran, with Israel, Iran, and United States, actually, all three. China just threatened the United States, but we're all talking about none of that. We're all talking about protests. Just like, Los Angeles protests. This offers think about it. This actually offers China or others this perfect opportunity, those that dislike our country, an optimal opportunity to make a move on the United States and other allied countries. So we got to be aware of this. We just saw those two Chinese, my Japanese friends, two Chinese citizens that were apprehended with deadly pathogen. And they were attempting to smuggle in. And they're not the only ones. We can't look at that and say, look at how many millions of people came across those borders over the past 4 years. Not just the United States borders, but it's happened everywhere. Germany, Australia, they're everywhere. It's part of the United Nations, the WEF, all of them. It's, again, has been a very decades-long agenda and plan. Believe it or not. Now, tomorrow is Friday the 13th. There's those illuminated cards that I've shown you and talked about many times. There's a card for Friday the 13th. It's a date that don't come around very often. And we know the illuminated ones like to promote the horrors, promote that date with horrors, like horror movies. So just be aware of things again, because things could really kick off tomorrow. It might not take the 14th. Could start off tomorrow. And that, they may not wait until Saturday. They may not wait at all. Not just, again, in the United States, but across the globe, especially throughout Europe. They want to disrupt American allied countries. So, again, please keep, on the down low and do not feed into the media's narratives. Because my feeling on this is not that it is just, well-orchestrated plan. I feel that this plan has actually not even been fully initiated. And that can be a little creepy. And it feels to me like the plan that when they do initiate, will last weeks long, perhaps months long. And in the past, I had visions of military on the streets of Los Angeles. And now we actually see that vision and prediction coming into fruition right now. It's that military definitely on the streets of LA. And sadly, I feel that this is going to spread. And I also see forces spreading across this country in different cities. So it's going to get bad. We'll see military, and they say, I don't know how true the statistic is, but there's more military in California right now than there is in Syria and Iraq. I mean, we pulled out of there, so I would hope that there's not many there. That statistic's going to grow throughout this country. And I see forces not just spreading around this country. I see it happening in other countries too. And I feel something also is going on off the coast of the United States. I'm not sure what it is in the near future, but whatever it was, felt like some type of a threat off the coast, likely off the coast of California. I don't know what's going to start happening there, but watch the waters, says the Spirit. And it should make us all wonder. After those movies, Leave the World Behind and Civil War, right? Those last year and a half those movies came out. Was this all in the works for many years? And is it leading to that? Nah, let's hope not. And I don't feel like things are actually going to get there. I do feel things are definitely going to get more intense. But in the long run, it's going to lead to more people coming together in agreement. And a much better world for us and children and your grandchildren. But this isn't right around the corner, friends. I got to be honest. And you want my honesty, you want my intuition. That's why you're here. It's not around the corner. It's a many year run before we get there. But we will get there. by the end of this 2020s, once we hit 2030. It's like a cross-country trip, friends, driving across country. It takes a while to get there, but once you get there, it was worth the drive. It'll be worth the drive. Always keep that in mind. Two other mentions I wanted to mention. Well, one other mention was the sad, tragic plane crash that happened in India, and prayers to the people affected by that. That was also something I said in past predictions where I saw many different plane crashes and accidents and incidents, and one of them I said was outside of India. So we see that playing out. I think the number of people were 242 maybe. Regardless, any people at all is a very sad tragedy. Something feels a little off about that to me. How about you? What do you think? Does that feel a little off? Something about it feels off. And I feel like that'll probably play out for us in the very near future. So I'm going to leave you with this just quick update and leave you with this. If you want to know more about what happens over the weekend, be sure to tune in on Tuesday's Tea Time as we look at the past week's events, how they relate to predictions and prophecy, with, of course, new predictions each week. And I just have this strong feeling I might be back by Sunday or Monday, as to depending on how this weekend goes, besides a little cray-cray. So, again, bunker down, friends. Be safe, be mindful, and remember to celebrate life and celebrate you, because that's the most important. And family and those that you love the most. And I'll see you in the future. I see it in my crystal ball. And until then, remember, friends, be bold, be true, be kind, be you. Let your light shine ever so brightly, and have a beautiful rest of your day and an amazing weekend. Much love, friends. Much love.